Hello, my name is Tanisha Carpenter Goodman, and I am giving my reflection for the American Culture article, The Nacirema by Minor, and I'm coming at you from my dining room. Welcome. So, I was tickled by the descriptions of the people of the Nacirema culture or the American culture. I found the descriptions of the body rituals familiar, and if I hadn't realized that Minor was describing the American culture, I would have thought that the shrines devoted to the rituals of the body were odd, maybe even too much. But the more I thought about it, like the things like the charm box or the medicine cabinet, or the holy mouthman was the dentist, and the pathological horror and fascination with which we look forward to going to the dentist, I've found it very familiar. And it definitely struck a chord with me because I felt like while these things are all things that we do, because of the way that they were described, I found them foreign, even though they were things that I do daily or monthly or, annually or biannually. And so, and while things like the small bundle of hog hairs for brushing teeth reminded me of the days of old, because our toothbrushes don't really look like hog hair brushes anymore, although they did. And what I was struck by was something that was kind of unsaid, which Minor kind of hinted to. But I was struck by this feeling of like a shame that we have for our bodies that other cultures don't carry. We cover ourselves when we're outdoors, and the only time we derobe is when we're in our private, almost secret household shrine or bathroom. And our children don't come around or out of their rooms or the bathroom unclothed, and we hide our bodies, where in other cultures that is not the case. So when I read that and I kind of registered, through, it really kind of made me think about that piece of our culture and whether or not that's something that I am interested in, exploring more in my own life. But then I started to think about some of the rituals and how, we could describe a lot of these rituals, and they could sound foreign and crazy, like waxing. I wonder what Minor would make waxing sound like, or what he would say about manicures, pedicures, or massages. I get my nails manicured every 2 weeks. It is definitely a ritual that I ascribe to and will continue to. Just like brushing my teeth, It's the kind of thing I want to keep doing, even though other cultures don't use fluoride toothpaste or brush their teeth daily, because it's not something that is culturally important or even that important to their society. So it made me start to think about other rituals that our society participates in, and I wondered how Minor would put that into language, and that maybe he would describe something where people would go from sunrise to bedtime. They would go outdoors at varying intervals, and blow smoke from a tiny white disposable stick. The people who use these smoke sticks are made acutely aware that prolonged use of these sticks can impact one's health gravely and should not be used. However, like clockwork, the people who use the smoke sticks publicly have to go out of doors in the rain, sleet, hail, or snow. The addiction of these people is capitalized on by the companies who manufacture them, and although the packaging for these smoke sticks clearly states their hazards to one's health, they remain legal. Legal to use, legal to buy, legal. And there seems to be a kinship among those who participate in the outdoor white smoke stick ritual. And they'll huddle around one another and talk to each other, even if they don't know one another. It seems to be quite the social thing. So, if you didn't know, I was talking about cigarette smoke, smoking cigarettes. And while smoking cigarettes is not a communication practice, I do think it is a ritual that people participate in socially. Not all people participate in them socially, but I do think that they do. And I think that back in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and even into the early 90s, smoking cigarettes was social and done any and everywhere. And so people would smoke at social events, in restaurants, bars, the workplace, and even hospitals. Having a cocktail with a cigarette was normal. So was being pregnant, smoking a cigarette. Normal. However, in 1985, the FDA and other government entities like the CDC made the case that cigarette smoke poses a direct risk to cardiovascular health. And the National Library of Medicine published an article that basically talked about the early banning of smoking indoors. And while it became known in 1985 that cardiovascular health was impacted by cigarette smoke and that there was a direct correlation, nothing really happened. And then in the late 90s, states started to ban and prohibit cigarette smokers from smoking cigarettes indoors. So in public places like bars and restaurants and hospitals, all of these places were prohibited from cigarette smoke, because not only did the cigarette smoke affect the people who were using them, who chose to use them, they were also affecting people who did not choose to use them, and in a negative way. And because of that, the government decided that, or state governments at first decided that this was an important tactic to take. So, this actually created this created social groups between smokers and non-smokers. And while there were many benefits to the health of people of non-smokers, and the smells of smoke, and the fact that, secondhand smoke really does kill and impact the folks who actually never chose to participate in that thing, it's definitely been a benefit to the American culture that we no longer smoke indoors. So, this concludes my reflection, and I hope you all have a wonderful and blessed afternoon.